A lot of traders are happy today. We had some crazy wicks on exchanges over in the Asian zone. So individuals were able to pick up Bitcoin for less than $1 today. We're going to talk about why that happened. It all has to do with the Amazon cloud service, AWS. So we've got a lot of happy traders today. Ripple actually pumped up to $50 momentarily on some brief exchanges. So making some traders very happy, some traders very, very sad. I'm sure a day that will live in infamy for days to come. Plus, we've got some new information on the Plus token scam, this time from the Ethereum side. And we talk about Bitcoin hitting $6,000 in today's episode of Breaking Bitcoin. Welcome to Breaking Bitcoin, recorded live for you here in the studio. Today is Friday, August the 23rd, 2019, foul year of our Lord, your daily source for market updates, sentiment, and news for traders. I am your host, Justin Wise, lead analyst and senior mentor at crackingcryptocurrency.com. Hopefully you guys are doing absolutely fantastic wherever you happen to be tuning in from across the globe, this large globe that we all inhabit, this swirling ball of rock flying around a glowing magmasphere in the great expanse of space. Whether you happen to be watching us from across YouTube, Twitch, DLive, Facebook, or on Roku with the Investor News Channel app, if you want to support the show, make sure to subscribe, follow, share, and engage in the live chat, and make sure to kick the thumbs up button in the face. Today's episode of Breaking Bitcoin is brought to you by us. If you are new to trading, or if you are an experienced trader looking to sharpen your skills and you would like to work with our team, learn our rules, and utilize our tools, make sure to check out premium.crackingcryptocurrency.com to see how we can help you. As I said, we've got a fantastic show today. I want to thank yesterday's crypto comment giveaway winner, which was You Go Chill. We're going to start off today's episode, as we always do, by giving away some cryptocurrency to you fine individuals. And I want to thank this month's crypto comment giveaway sponsor, X42 Protocol. Make sure to go check them out at x42.tech. And here we are in the live scene, and we've got yesterday's video URL pulled up. Make sure to go check out yesterday's video. It was a fantastic episode. And we're going to click load comments. 17 winners. I did something different today. I decided that to avoid me getting constantly picked as the YouTube comment winner, which then I just have to go ahead and repick somebody else because I try to respond to every comment on the YouTube channel. I have decided to wait to belay my responses until after today's show. So I will respond to your YouTube comments over the course of today. And we're going to randomly pick a winner. And, oh no, it's a scammer. It's a scammer. Luke Mai, I'm sorry. You will not be winning. MT Coiner. What's going on, my good friend? Thank you so much for the support. He says this was a very informative stream. Thanks again. Thank you so much for your support. Get a hold of me in Discord and I will tip you some crypto, guys. So, hopefully you guys are doing absolutely fantastic. Let's hop over into the live scene and look at the daily time frame of Bitcoin here. Let me get Restream chat pulled open, the activity feed, and of course, stream labels so I can see what you guys are doing. And I want to thank Michael Trafel. Thanks so much for following the community, man. Let's actually close stream labels down and boot it back up. It's going to be a day, guys. It's going to be an interesting day. All right, so let's get some coffee in us and let's talk about really what's happened over the last few hours. Obviously, Bitcoin putting in a nice bullish candle today, but the Heikinashi trend is still bearish, looking actually to the downside. Gold, silver, and Bitcoin, baby. You know it. Ricky says, I got a standing order set for a crazy wick down like last night. Bitcoin at 35 cents on a small exchange, and I don't know, but I heard orders were filled. Well, I don't think the opportunity will come twice. Opportunity only knocks once, but never a bad idea to have those stank bids set down there in the low order books. Mike Greetings from Bangkok. What's going on? Greetings from here in the fine states of America. Hopefully you're doing absolutely fantastic. So let's talk about Bitcoin's price, guys. A lot of people excited. All right. Anyways, a lot of people excited. You don't want to be impulsively reacting to every up candle. Okay. So we're just going to run the gamut of this. Am I long? I'm not long. I'm still in my short position. Bitcoin popping up has put me in a less profitable position than I was last night, but not overall bad. If we go over to you guys can go over to currentresults.crackingcryptocurrency.com. We're still doing very, very well. We're at about 40% on this week. We've had some very, very good trades this week. Yesterday was a very good day for profit taking. But yes, we've been putting on a little bit more alt to Bitcoin trades over the last few days because the alt markets have been responding with good volume and volatility. And of course, Bitcoin sneezing like it did puts those in a little bit of downs. So there's potentially a few trades that might be losses, depends on where they close in relationship to the daily baseline, but that's okay. A good equity curve is 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. So anyways, and again, it's not even something really dramatic. I think that overall, I think total drawdown is 5% ROI on total trades, subtracted from about the 42% I think up so far on this current week's up. So totally fine. But I think a situation like this is one in which a lot of people are going to make incorrect decisions. In my personal opinion, in my trading experience, I don't really think this is the candle to be going long on Bitcoin. I've talked about this before. Of course, we've got a lot of things that are going to be supporting that. We've got Bitcoin's price below the daily baseline. We've got minks pointed down. We've got Wadatar explosion signaling bearish momentum. Now waning bearish momentum, obviously, on this daily candle. But of course, it's just one daily candle. You don't want to be impulsive about what's going on. We have not had time transformation cross to the upside either. Now, keep in mind, this is Fisher on its most sensitive setting. And today's buyback on Bitcoin has not been enough to actually make the Fisher cross over the signal line, which I think is important. Now, does that not mean that can't happen tomorrow? No, it does not. But it hasn't done it yet on this big move into the upside, which is indicative for me because, as we've talked about, utilizing Fisher Transform as the indicator to tell us to get out of situations. And if that hasn't fired yet whatsoever, and of course, as we can see, the lower threshold Fisher that I utilize actually for this purpose has not fired either. So nothing that I'm concerned about, no reason for me to be exiting my position. If anything, I would look at this as an opportunity to re-add to my short because, again, to me, the forecast is bearish. You know, we've gone over this before. Over the last few months. You know, kind of this meme that, well, Bitcoin's price comes down here and tags the $9,000, $10,000 area and then skyrockets right back up. I don't, and of course, could it? Absolutely. I'm a trend following trader, so I'll trade in the direction of the trend. But my prognosis on this as we currently sit is that there's nothing bullish about this. This looks like an impulsive buyback and retest of resistance, dynamic resistance in the form of our daily baseline. And then I think continuation of the trend, which is the downside. All right. Rudy LaPlane says, vacation is nice, but wow, do you miss cracking crypto? Glad to be here. Glad to see you back, Rudy. Hopefully your vacation was absolutely fantastic. Okay, so daily time frame, we are still below the daily baseline. As I said just a few minutes ago, Minx is still below the zero line. Wadatar explosion is still signaling bearish momentum. And Fisher Transform has not crossed back up to the upside. Those are all components in my system that I need to do different things than what they're doing now to even contemplate along or to contemplate exiting my position. So the way that I'm looking at this, as I said yesterday, I really need to see price crack on above 10,600, 10,700 before I consider a long. And I also will be very hesitant to do that if that occurs on a weekend. If that occurs on a weekend, I will be far more hesitant because often what we'll see is that the weekend has largely, over the last 2 months, diminished in activity. The weekends have largely been low volume, low volatility, compared to how they were the 4 months prior to that, in which they were high volume and high volatility, not letting crypto traders enjoy their weekend or really have time with their families. But such is life. It's a seasonal market, and being a trader sometimes can be seasonal. So those are the things that I need to see. I'll be very hesitant if we do end up cracking above the daily baseline on over the weekend. I'll probably end up reducing my risk a little bit and continuing to look for reentry opportunities because what we'll often see on the weekend is occasionally high volatility. And why is there high volatility? We have to understand why there's high volatility because there's little volume. So when there's less volume in the markets, that means there are gaps in the order books. The order books are less beefy because a lot of professional traders, a lot of professional market makers are not operating on the weekend. And the space is left to more retail outlets, more retail traders. And retail traders are generally not as concise. They don't stock the order book as professionally, as fully, as concisely as professional traders would, or at least more experienced traders. So that's why we often see an increase of volatility on the weekends, or why we can't, right? Big price swings, but they're not really indicative of the dominant trend. Of course, we've all seen this chart that floats around, which is available on the MetaTrader platform, which you guys can get, and that utilizes Bitcoin's price and excludes the weekends. I don't really have a firm commitment on whether that's valid, but I will say that it is good for, it's not bad, it's not terrible. I don't utilize it, but it's not terrible for looking at things like long-term trend. I think those things are valid, so. Gold usually reacts to news. Bitcoin also reacted to the early morning news. Wonder if it's taking on a new dynamic. I find that Bitcoin often reacts to morning news, but generally after the fact, right? Sometimes, or excuse me, I would say most of the time, price moves and then news comes out to justify the movement, right? And I don't ever think that the news is right. What's going on, Mr. Bex? All right. Sorry, it's just really good coffee, guys. Mississippi grog this morning. Nice and smooth. Okay, let's go down to the 12-hour time frame. 12-hour time frame. 12-hour time frame is interesting. We are getting above the daily baseline. Minx is about to cross back above the noise line on the 12-hour time frame. But again, very weak in my opinion, very weak. Not a lot of bullish momentum. Water explosion would be keeping you out of taking any 12-hour trade. And I really do like to see that agreeing with me before moving into any kind of position. Same thing, we go to the 8-hour time frame. The 8-hour time frame is really the only thing that could get you into a signal right here. We do have Minx crossing above the noise line on the previous candle. And on the current candle is actually going to be crossing and closing above the 0 line. We do have on the previous candle the 8-hour signal. That's pretty low. Let's actually zoom this up, and I want to look at this. I mean, just barely above that dead zone filter. But again, this is valid, and I can see the case. I can see the case for the 8-hour long for those who are attempting to do, in my opinion, the daily counter trend trades. This would get you in earlier to the signal. This is not what I'm doing, but I do see the validity to this. For me, my game plan is to enjoy my weekend, is to look to establish and add more to my Bitcoin position, to the short position, if such an opportunity presents itself. I don't want to over risk. I don't want to extend my risk, but that's where my mindset is at. One common good thing that we often do, and of course it is the time transformation filter that is applying this up there, is looking at the Heikin-Ashi trend. If you guys will recall, back to earlier trading videos of mine, still something that I look at. Heikin-Ashi trend is still important. And we can see that obviously if we just flip over to Heikin-Ashi charts, we still have a bearish Heikin-Ashi trend. And I think looking at that Heikin-Ashi is very important as a trend following trader to understand what the dominant trend is. Now, I don't think that initiating trades based on the color flip of Heikin-Ashi sometimes is the best strategy it can be. I think that Bitcoin does move fluidly enough to allow those to have good opportunities. Keep in mind though, especially and again, this is my wheelhouse of backtesting strategies and trading automatically. We do have to understand that you don't want to be optimizing strategies for Heikin-Ashi, in my opinion. That's why what I've done is, what my script does is actually takes the Heikin-Ashi trend and transposes that color change onto regular Japanese candlesticks. I think that's a much better method. That's available in time transformation, but you can find it out there in other outlets. I don't really, again, that's kind of a hairy thing. The reason why I wrote my own is because I didn't trust other people's. I found that they didn't switch quickly enough. I found that they didn't switch accurately. So again, this is all stuff that you guys can test and backtest. When I say the 12-hour is getting above the daily baseline, it should actually be above the 12-hour baseline, right? Yeah, I'm sorry. I misspoke, man. Texacoat LTD, why is my daily candle to the downside? Because my candles, currently, I started doing this. I do this in my own private trading, but I started doing this back on the stream a while back. My daily candles are colored based on the Heikin-Ashi trend, not the daily, not whether or not open is greater than close. So again, we can confirm that if we just go over to the Heikin-Ashi charts and see that today is a down candle on the Heikin-Ashi trend. take a look at Renko for fun. And again, down candle on the Renko. Gotta love the Renko, man. I haven't looked at the Renko in a while. I do have some Renko strategies that I've written and optimized, but how to find the lines of resistance and support. That is a how do I put this? So resistance and support trading is very popular in trading. It's not what I do. I use one dynamic level of support and resistance, and that level is 1 exponential moving average. We do occasionally look at other ones as well. They're dynamic. I do like dynamic levels of support and resistance. I've talked about at length. I've got webinars on this in the group on finding levels of support and resistance and how to draw them objectively, how to try and find them objectively, and then strategies on trading those, breaks, retests, roundeds, BPCs, things of that nature, which are break, pullback, continuations, which are my favorite way to trade support and resistance. But I don't really trade support and resistance because, again, trading support and resistance is reversal trading. Excuse me. Now, I would say that the one part of support and resistance trading that does make it into what I do is going to be looking at that, as I said, looking at the baseline, the daily baseline, as a dynamic level of support and resistance, right? So we often find that is a level where price will bounce off of. We often find that is the level on the chart where once broken with good volume, where trend will continue in that direction. And of course, we need to be trading on the correct side of that in the first place. But there's a lot of, I don't really want to refer you to other material because I don't think, my personal soapbox is that the trading education that is currently out there is terrible in the first place. So I don't really want to push people into education that I personally started doing what I do because I think that education is terrible. But order blocks, I think, are good levels of dynamic, or can be, they're static levels of support and resistance. And I've kind of talked about order blocks in depth as well. Anyways, let's go down to some lower time frames as well. Looking at the 4-hour time frame. Actually, I want to go down. I just want to go right down to the 2 and kind of talk about where we're at right here in price structure. And this is something that I was looking at with some of the guys this morning, which is again kind of this same order block area. So let's actually, I think this is a good example for us to kind of diagnose and talk about this order block system of trading. And to do this, let's take the baseline off and let's just look at the chart. And again, you guys know that this isn't really how I trade, but it's just good stuff, good knowledge to have. So anyways, let's look at market structure right here. We can see that we have a level of consolidation. We could go further back in the chart, but we're just going to look at what we have right here. We have a level of consolidation. That consolidation is broken to the downside. We put in a swing low. Okay. Put in a swing low. We come back up. We form a swing high. We come back down. We form a higher swing low. We come back up and we form another period of consolidation, forming yet another higher swing high, right? So, and we can see that this level here on the chart acts as resistance for a good period of time, right? Price comes up and taps this area once, rejects, twice rejects, 3 times rejects, 4 times rejects, and then breaks through on this very impressive up candle. And that's often what you find, is that the candle that ends up breaking resistance is often a pretty impressive candle. So let's look at this like so. So what is the last up candle before a shift in market structure? You typically want to always be measuring the top. So that is going to be this candle right here. And we just measure the body of the candle, right? Not the high to the low. That is controversial because there are other people out there who talk about order block trading, not too many. But this is, again, we're getting into the realm of wishes and fishes here. So just beware, guys. This is not really conducive to a lot of how we trade, but just good education, I think, for people to be aware of. So when we measure order blocks, we're going to be measuring them in the way that I do them, is from open to close, not from high to low, right? We don't want the true range. We just want the absolute range. So as you can see, we form this level of resistance here. We form this bearish order block. It's bearish because it's the last up candle before a shift in market structure, i.e. Lower high. And, again, there's other arguments as well where a shift in market structure is where you shift from higher highs and higher lows to lower highs and lower lows, right? So where is the turning point in the market? You evaluate and identify that area, and that area is going to be your dynamic level of support and resistance. So keep that in mind as well. But you can see how this level does act as resistance here. We do put in a higher low, and I've talked about that pattern before as well, about 2 to 3 tests of resistance and then forming a higher low, significantly higher low, generally within 1 ATR of the level of resistance, and then the subsequent breakout, right? I've talked about that pattern before as well, which we can see occur right here, where we do round out and then we do break, right? So anyways, keep that in mind. And the way that order block structure works, and I think I actually like that I'm going to show you an example that doesn't work out, is this is a bearish order block. And once it is broken with good momentum, which obviously we can see occurs on this candle right here, this previous order block now becomes a bullish breaker, right? Because it was resistance that was broken convincingly, and now ideally should act as a level of support, right? Meaning that you would set limit buy orders inside that order block with a stop loss slightly below the order block. And that is where you would look to re-enter into a trade. That would be your entry opportunity. Now, we can see the perils of trading in this way, because that was not a good idea. So you would have had a limit order set right here. You would have had a limit order set right there. And that would have not worked out too well for you, right? Price would have crashed through. Now, interestingly enough, we are kind of in that same scenario. So you can kind of look at this as a bifurcation, right? You can look at that level of resistance as bisecting the bullish control zone and the bearish control zone, right? So below that level, we're obviously in bearish control zone where the bears have the power. And above that level, we're in the bullish control zone where the bulls have the power until you find that tipping point, in the market, right? And that is really obviously the holy grail of trading, is trying to identify the turning points in the market. Now, being as someone who's traded for years, I will tell you that I found that the quest for that holy grail is not a happy route, right? And is an unproductive route. It's an unproductive route, because when you try to trade reversals, you are trying to identify turning points in the market. You are operating in a market that is easily manipulated by those who have a greater edge than you do. And that edge is going to be access to greater information. That edge is going to be access to faster execution. And often, unfortunately, in cryptocurrency, that edge is going to be access to more capital. It's the exact same way in the Forex markets, where the Forex markets are largely pushed around and manipulated by the big banks. And, as controversial as, I've talked about this being, it's not a lot different in cryptocurrency. You have a market that is, penny stocks are exactly the same way. You have a market that's low volume and low volatility. Just go watch Boiler Room. Go watch The Wolf of Wall Street. There is no big structural difference. Again, there is a technological difference behind the underlying assets that we're talking about here in cryptocurrency. But market structure and market participation, there's no difference, man. People are people no matter where you go, right? You have the same kind of assholes trading Bitcoin that you have trading Forex, that you have trading stocks, right? You have the same market manipulation that you have in penny stocks, that you have in the Forex markets, that you have in cryptocurrency. There's no qualitative difference between market participants and all these things, right? Lefty, what's going on, man? Mr. Ether, I would like to evaluate your Renko strategies. I'd like to evaluate your Renko strategies, man. Sup, bro? Quentin Gilliam, rolling the dice on some X42. Thank you for what you do. Thank you very much, my friend. Let's see here. BTC USD. Getting back on track. So, continuing on in this order block example, we can see that in this scenario, we would have had a limit buy order set here, right? So a limit buy order, let's go look at what ATR was. So let's just pull up the ATR. I could use Quadriga, but we'll just for the purposes of keeping this simple, we'll just go look at what ATR was at that point in time. Average true range. And let's say that average true range was on average. So between here, it went from 150 to 130. So we'll just use 140 as the average true range. So let's say you set a stop loss 140 plus 70, so 210. You got a stop loss like right around here, right? Right about there. Yeah, it's actually a little right there. You'd have a stop loss right around there. Hopefully you guys can all see that. Good enough? Okay, good. So you'd have a stop loss right here. Let's actually make this yellow. Dark Rico, what is where is the preference in order blocks? Using them off the daily or lower time frames, or does it just depend on what time frame you're looking to trade off of or in a trade on? The high, as with all things, the higher time frame, the better qualitative data that you get. Yeah, the better qualitative data that you get. You know, I think that they're pretty easy to identify. So turning points in the market, I think that order blocks, these levels of resistance and support, which order blocks are generated upon, it's just a more nuanced way of trading support and resistance, and that's also kind of wrapped up in a specific strategy as well that I'm trying to bring to the table here, that I'm trying to express. But yes, the higher time frames that you're going to identify these on, they're going to be more important. But you'll be more precise because those order blocks, the levels, right, roughly the same levels. They're going to be roughly the same across all time frames because they're turning points in the market, right? So they're pretty easy to identify. But when you go down to lower time frames, you're going to identify more, and they're going to become more pronounced. They're going to become more visually apparent, and they're going to give more precise areas, which might be a good thing because, you know, if you're trading along this fashion, then you're going to have more clearly defined metrics, right? So if you use a daily order block, you might have an entry zone that's like a whole daily up candle, right? So you get maybe a $500 to $700 range on a Bitcoin candle. Whereas when we're talking about a 2-hour order block, you can see here that the entry on this was $17.50, right? Which is a very, very tight squeeze for cryptocurrency. So, Cryptonomics asks, does the theory of manipulation in cryptocurrency diminish the purpose for using technical analysis? It does not. Nope. This is a very, very common question. It means, my assertion is that it diminishes the purpose of some technical analysis, right? Technical analysis, it depends on, I'll just go back to my soapbox and how I do things, right? So technical analysis does not do what most people seem to think it does. Most people think technical analysis makes predictions. It does not. Technical analysis absolutely does not make accurate predictions whatsoever. It cannot be used as a tool to determine where price will go. It cannot be used as a tool to determine where price will turn around. It cannot be utilized as a tool that will tell you how far price will go. None of that, right? Technical analysis can be used to garner a statistical edge in the market by clearly defining rules for how certain indicators will be interpreted. That's it. And that is how I utilize technical analysis to be a profitable trader. And that's how everybody that I know consistently, who is a consistently profitable trader, utilizes technical analysis. They are upfront and aware of the inability of technical analysis to do the reading the tea leaves, reading cat entrails, casting chicken bones type nonsense that most people seem to think technical analysis is aware of. And the reason, I would say that the reason why that is the case is because people who do utilize technical analysis for predictive methods are going to find themselves smack dab in the face of market manipulation. And again, I say market manipulation, it's not really a bad thing. It's not really supposed to be interpreted as a derogative. It just means that there are individuals out there with an edge that you do not have. And in cryptocurrency, that edge is faster timing, greater access to information, and generally more capital. They can move the market. Ferguson, good to see you, man. Jay Constant, hello, long time no see. Bitcoin's going to 11,000 and one Bitcoin for less than $1. Yes, we talked about that a little bit, and we've got more to talk about it when we get to the news segment. What exchange was the flash crash? Multiple. What is it? EXX, Sexit, KuCoin. Not on Binance, but two or three others. So getting back to our example here. So we've hit our stop loss on this trade. So in this example, right? So let's get rid of this. Now, this was supposed to be a bullish breaker. Now it's been broken to the downside. So what is it again? It's a bearish order block. Meaning, what is a bearish order block? A bearish order block is an area where you set limit sell orders, right, to take advantage of the reversal trade. So in this example, if we were to utilize this same structure, now we are in the present, so this is current price, we would be, let's just drag this on over here, you would have limit, and let's actually zoom in here a little bit. You would have had limit sell orders, and had you done that, you would have had a limit sell order filled on this wick right here. And the best scenario that you would see out of the situation would be a shooting star pattern, right? Where you have a failure to achieve on this candle, which it appears that we might be having, because this 2-hour candle is not yet closed. It's 27 minutes till it closes. But ideally, you would see rejection from here, right? You'd see rejection from here. You'd see a failure to achieve. You'd see a failure to establish a higher high. Potentially, you would see a sweep for liquidity. So you might see something like, a wick, right? You might see something like a wick on this candle or the next candle. That's very, very ugly. I hate the drawing tools sometimes in TradingView for example purposes. But you might see something like a wick, where let's just use the trend line, like a wick up above to grab liquidity, which is often something that you do, and then the market turns in your favor. Now, is that any guarantee that that will happen? No, but that's the strategy. That's the strategy that one would utilize, right? And continuing on with our same example, let's go back and look at what ATR is. ATR on the candle, let's just say like leading up to this, ATR was like wow, it's a pretty wild fluctuation. So we've got ATR of like 170 all the way to 130. Let's just use the ATR on this candle, which was 142. So let's just say again, that same 210. So we'll just measure 210. So that's where your stop loss would most likely be in this scenario on this time frame. And if we want to go like really classic, standard R to R type measurements, then your 2-to-1 R to R would be right here. So basically targeting right below this previous low. And your 3-to-1 would be here, targeting the previous swing low. Yeah, don't stop my day job with drawing. It's rough, man. Hey, crypto beginner, good to see you, man. Dr. Gurr, or Durger, thicker jobs. Is 420 a significant of a number in all markets, or does the crypto scene like weed more than others? I would have to speculate that a lot of cryptocurrency enthusiasts probably enjoy the cannabis more than other sectors, but I could be wrong. Adam says, thanks a lot for what you do, Justin. I like your trend following trading system. What kind of leverage do I use, and how far are your stops? So I've got a lot of videos on leverage. I would direct you toward the go to the Trading Crypto 101 playlist here on YouTube and watch the video on Margin Trading Explained by a Professional Trader, I think is the name of the video. And I go over leverage. Leverage doesn't matter. And I know that, again, I say that literally everywhere. It's my soapbox. And the common response I get is like preposterous. Because most people have been taught to think that leverage is there to allow you to take big position sizes. When I'm on BitMEX, I use cross margin. When I am on ByBit, I'm typically going to do anywhere from 3 to 10x leverage. I don't really go above that. My stops are always the same. I utilize a bunch of midnight tokers. I utilize dynamic stop loss placement, meaning my stop loss placement is going to be pursuant to where ATR is. So I don't use risk to reward levels. My stops are my stops are based on ATR because I want my stop to be outside of daily volatility or average volatility, or the volatility of the time frame that I'm trading, right? Just a logical stop loss placement, as opposed to placing a stop loss subjectively, which is going to be, oh well, I think that this high is a good stop loss placement. In my experience, any high, any low has a propensity to be swept, right? So sweeping is when you have a lot of people who, like, let's look at price right now on Bitcoin, right? A lot of people are going to look at price right now and they're going to be like, oh, well, this seems like I'll just set my stop loss like right here, right? Because, if price goes up here, then it's probably just going to keep breaking out, right? And experience has taught me that often price will go here, grab liquidity, and then move down, right? And that is because large orders need liquidity to get filled to avoid slippage. That'd be similar with placing a stop loss here if one were to go long right now, or here. So this is how I set stops. This little indicator that I've written right here. So let's check in with Mr. Ichimoku. We haven't checked in with Mr. Ichimoku here in a while. Let's go to the daily and just start looking down through these different time frames. In the cloud on the Ichimoku on the daily, we did get a bearish edge-to-edge setup right here when we haven't gotten really any reason to exit that. Still below the Kijun, or excuse me, still below the Kijun and the Tenkin, the base and conversion line. Overall, this is pretty bearish. Now, the future cloud is still bullish, actually twisted up a little bit. And we have the Chico spawn above the cloud as well. So there's some conflicting data here. Overall, I would say, and again, I would say, it's not that I would say, this is objective, right? You guys can go watch my Ichimoku video. There are very clear objective ways to interpret what an indicator does. And I think those are pretty well laid out and established for Ichimoku. For Ichimoku, we're inside the cloud, which indicates ranging activity. The indicator's ranging. In fact, Shiv, if you're watching this, man, you asked a question yesterday and you asked like, okay, so how do we determine if price is ranging? Well, if price is in the cloud, price is ranging. If the Chico spawn is inside of price, price is ranging. If ATR is below average ATR, we're likely ranging. If Wadatar explosion is below the explosion level, we're likely ranging. You need the ranging means not a lot of volume, not a trend, right? So if there's not a lot of volume, there's not a trend. So low volume, low volatility, i.e. ranging. So volume and volatility are a direct measurement of whether a market is trending or ranging. So on the daily, we are inside the cloud, indicating ranging. We are below all of our levels of dynamic support and resistance for Ichimoku. Those are actually coming all the way up at 10,911. Let's go back down to that 8-hour, which I think is important. 8-hour, very similar to the baseline, to the 8-hour baseline that we just talked about, because we did just cross and close above that as well, with some other bullish signals as well. We would have resistance coming in the form, again, that where that daily Tenkan-san is at 10,911. But on the 8-hour, I think even on the 12, yeah, even on the 12, we've got a bearish future cloud. And going down to the 2-hour, where we've been spending more time lately, we have the sell signal here, a little bit of drawdown, and then price does move in our favor. Not an insanely profitable trade. Let's see what the entry would actually be right here. Not an insanely profitable trade. I'm sure that does hit at least 1R for an ATR trade. Excuse me. And really, there's no bullishness here. You know, future bearish cloud. You know, we are coming up to a bearish cloud, which is resistance. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And let you guys know where I'm at. That's where I'm at. That's what my trade looks like. So, I plan to have a relaxing weekend, working on content that I wasn't able to get done this week. Just a busy week, guys. So working on getting content done this week, like the ByBit video, I want to get that done. Also, there's a couple PTP videos I need to push. I need to work on the trading journal video. We've got a new trading journal for the premium members that I'm going to be publishing the educational content on. Plan on working on that tonight and getting that done by Sunday. All right, so let's go to MT Coiner Man, thank you so much for the $10, my man. You are the best. Thank you very much, my friend. Highly appreciate the support. Yeah. Throwing some Ethereum in that miner box, man. Thank you, man. This should make for a fun weekend warrior trading session. Yeah, it could. It could. It's going to be an interesting time, man. Okay, let's check in with Ethereum. And again, I think this is a little bit more pronounced on Ethereum as well. So retouch of the daily baseline on Ethereum. And again, you can see that the limit orders got filled at the daily baseline on Ethereum, right? If we go down to the 2-hour time frame, we can see that very clearly. Need to put the, should probably put the multi-time frame function on the baseline, but I didn't for a reason because I didn't want that security feature in there. Been trying to get away from that security function. But anyways, we could write one up real quick. Or we could just use CCEMA. There it is. So here's the daily baseline as represented on the 2-hour time frame. And you can see we don't actually tag it all the way, but same concept, same concept. And the other thing that I want to point out too, is this. See if we can make this make sense. So I was just determining what would be the precise order block for this. So bullish order block where price does reverse. We do see a shift in market structure. We can see that same order block is respected, is bought up here on the second retest. We can see that it's respected here and here on the third and fourth retest. And again, that all leads to a significant shift in market structure to the upside. And then broken on this down candle, right? Broken on this down candle, making this what? Bearish breaker. Bearish breaker. And what do you do with bearish breakers? You set limit sell orders inside of them, right? And that's exactly what happened right here. Right here. You can see that right here. And then we come over here. And what just happened? Wick into the breaker. Down goes Sally. So this, I mean, this looks very, very similar to what we just saw. This looks very similar to what we just saw on Bitcoin, actually. With continual grind. I mean, you can look. That's the daily baseline. What direction is the daily baseline heading? It's heading down. The trend is pointing to the downside, right? You know, people are going to worry about the oscillations of price within the overall macro trend. The overall macro trend is to the downside. You can also see, I mean, really, really well, right? Nothing is perfect, right? But, and there are different rules and formulas for this, but you can see again, the daily baseline acting as your dynamic level of support and resistance in conjunction with this daily baseline that we talked about, right? So again, acting as dynamic resistance here, acting as dynamic resistance here in conjunction with this order block, right? With this bearish order block, which is now, so bullish order block, bought up, right? Every single time. Bearish order block was formed here, right? So again, how do you determine what a bearish order block is? It's the last down candle in a bearish trend before a shift in market structure, right? So that's why I had originally I was going to select this one, but then you can see this one actually does go further down and close lower, and I just used the open to close, because what does that lead to? Shift in market structure, higher highs, higher lows, right? And then it gets bought up on the first retest, bought up on the second retest, gets bought up on the third retest, gets bought up on the fourth retest until broken. Actually, you could argue that it got bought up on the fifth retest as well, but broken, right? Turning it into a bearish breaker. And a bearish breaker is now a new level where it was once support, is now resistance. Boom. And you need to see a cross and close above the bearish breaker. You need to see this. And then you could revert back to, again, the BPC concept, right? Break, pullback, continuation. So, a lot of work. All stuff that I don't do on a daily basis. I think that my method of trading is far easier, far more objective, and better. GBU Wally says MT equals empty, mountain time, Mother Teresa, what does it all mean? Bearish order block is something I want to get from my account. Can I block bearish orders with it? What do I like trading when Bitcoin goes into winter? Can't imagine trading was as profitable when Bitcoin was at 3 to 6K for months. I mean, not a huge difference. Not a huge difference, honestly. It's just position sizing. ATR is low, volatility is low. You want to really watch your filters very carefully. Choose your positions very, very carefully. Sometimes utilizing lower time frames. But Bitcoin's been an extremely, it's volatile, right? So it's profitable. It never became unprofitable to trade. 2018 was not an unprofitable time to trade Bitcoin. 2018 was an unprofitable time to be a cryptocurrency investor. But I did recently get back into trading Forex because volatility has returned to the Forex market. So traders chase volatility, man. As long as Bitcoin continues to swing wildly, it'll be profitable to trade. Asdes asked, why are the live streams now 1 hour instead of 2? Sorry if a reoccurring question. Haven't caught the streams in a while. Actually, I think it's the first time somebody's brought it up on stream. It just allows me to do more time, to apply more time to some tasks that need to get done. And trying to figure out good scheduling times and good scheduling, just trying to avoid scheduling conflicts with other, responsibilities that we have running the group and providing the service that we do to all our clients. So trying to figure out the optimum solution for that. I don't want to, I very much enjoy doing the show. I'm going to be here every day for you guys, but just figuring out the best solution and what you guys like the best, what you guys like the best. So I think another reason why the hour format is good is because a lot of people don't have 2 hours, to sit. And, we do things very differently than other live streams, right? So we focus on education. We focus on risk management. We focus on, politics. We focus on, not politics, but we focus on, things that are going on in the news. And, often people will be able to contribute like an hour of their time, especially on rewatchability, right? So a key issue is rewatchability. I want the content and the information to be good, that it can be rewatched pretty much forever. Because I think in every single episode, although the market might be in a different place than it is yesterday, the concepts that we talk about when discussing market structure and what we're looking at in the market, I think is valid. And I want that to be valid. But be happy to hear what you guys' thoughts are on it. After all, show's about you guys. I see Wally not wanting to be outdone. Wally not wanting to be outdone by Montana, coming through with the $24.99. That's $25 in my book, man. That's the tether. That's the tether premium, right? Thank you so much, my good friend. He says 1 hour or two. This YouTube channel is by far the most profit-improving stream I watch. Thank you, Justin, for all this info and education. Learn, earn, and don't get burned, man. Thank you so much, my friend. I highly appreciate that. Wally, the man, the myth, the legend. I hope you're crushing it, man. Thank you so much. Obviously, every time you donate, I know that means that you are that you just made 99% more than that in the crypto markets. So awesome, man. Awesome to hear you're doing good. Learn, earn, and don't get burned, my friend. Shout out to you and Gunbot University. Ron Legato says, I would like a 9-hour show. Not much else to do running a CNC lathe. I've been there, my friend. I've been there, my friend. Way back in the day, I used to run a machine that pressed sheet metal, and I would just stand there. You know, it was a third shift job. This was back when I was first learning to trade, and I would work this job, and I would stack the metal from place to place and run the machine, and watch YouTube all day. You know, not YouTube really too much back then, but definitely videos, stuff, anything that I could get my hands on. It's just mind-numbing work, man. Well, think about that. I'll think about a 9-hour show. I'll try to come up with compilations for you, my man. Wally says, I'd say the 1-hour format is much easier to consume on a regular basis. You know, I also want to do more, more like pre-recorded shows. Because a lot of those are, I think, I can focus more on a concise topic and make them more entertaining for you guys and make it so that that information is good for a long time. So, for example, like my video on TD Sequential, it's got like over 10,000 views. And people just continue to watch that all the time because it's there. It's a good resource. Wally says, it's similar to the concept behind tithing, gratitude and focus. Well, thank you, man. I highly appreciate that. You know, I have the same concept with a lot of what I do. Obviously, I diversify my money every month. I withdraw my income from my trading profits, and then I use that to sustain myself. But the first thing that I do with my money is I invest, right? So I buy my crypto with it. I buy my stocks with it. I invest any money that I want in my other investments and allocate it as necessary. I put money away for savings. I pay my bills, and then I have money left to buy coffee. And it's getting toward the end of the month. But I also give to charity every month, right? So, and I think that's important. And those numbers go up dynamically depending on how well I've done this month, you know? But thank you very much, man. Let's go back to Bitcoin. Wow. Let's redraw that. Let's redraw that order block scenario and see how that plays out, right? So let's do something here real quick. All right, so it's actually going to be this one. Just for funsies. Just for fun. Wrong button. Ah, there we go. Let's see how this concept plays out. What's the matter, Bitcoin? Just stalled out, man. Let's do something. This happens every day, though. This is the boring time of the market. Volatility happens between like 6 and 10, and then it dies. And then it picks back up at like daily candle close. Asdes asks, are you still doing VIP AMA sessions? I have a huge long list. So yes, I am. I haven't done one in, I think, 2 weeks, and I'm scheduling the next one. But yeah, they're a regular part of what we do up there. Just haven't done one in about 2 weeks now. So I got a lot. I got a big one that we're gonna have to do, and that's also focusing on how to make those more streamlined, better. Because again, I started chopping up all the AMAs to really focus on specific questions. So that rewatchability is there, because I like to have the answers there when people ask me the questions like, hey man, can you explain to me about shorting? It's like, hey, I already made this video, this video, this video, this video, and this video, which you now have access to. So check those out. And then if those don't explain it, then we can start. But it just helps if we start off the conversation in the right space. But thank you, man. He says, these were super valuable for me when I had the premium. Joining again soon. I can't wait to have you back in there, man. But yeah, absolutely. Ferguson said, wouldn't be surprised to see a square up at 10.7K profit taking. All right, guys, it is 12:59. You know what that means. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to go over the news. We're going to look at some different charts, and we're going to answer your cryptocurrency-related user-submitted questions, guys. I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere, and let me know what you guys would like to take a look at when we return. Welcome back, guys. Hopefully you're doing well. We're recharged with our Mississippi grog, and we're ready to take on the markets, guys. So, as I said in the title of the show, how to buy Bitcoin for $1. Well, step 1, live in Asia. Step 2, have money on some of these crappy exchanges. Step 3, get fantastically lucky with stank bids. Have you ever dreamed of being able to buy Bitcoin for less than $1? You've invested, you've hodled, you've traded, but you always said to yourself, man, if I could just go back in time, if there was just the time machine, and I mean the original time machine, the original black and white time machine that was actually like a good movie, and not the new time machine that was all like, terrible. Little film critique for you guys. And just go back to those good old days when everything was rainbows and sunshine and Bitcoin mining. And, couldn't we just go back to those days and just go all in on Bitcoin and it was less than $1? Well, that opportunity came today for some individuals over in the Asian marketplace when Amazon's cloud service, AWS, began glitching. According to AWS, on their official website, they said, quote, due to the overheating of part of our chassis in the machine room we deployed in AWS Tokyo, part of our services might become unavailable. In part quote, we are deploying relevant resources of high availability. Some services might be affected during the deployment. Well, services were definitely affected during the deployment, and those services include order books for some Asian exchanges. So this led to disruptions on exchanges such as Binance, BitMEX in particular, Cytex, and others, including the exchange EXX. Now, according to screenshots that we've seen passed around in the BitMEX Telegram channel, certain traders, in this particular example right here, we can see where 45 Bitcoin were bought for less than 1 tether, right? For less than 1 USDT. So that's a very, very lucky individual. And it would be my opinion that that individual is probably going to be looking to sell those 45 Bitcoin very soon at the correct market rates. 45 Bitcoin withdraw over to Binance, sell at the correct price. Over on Cytex, Bitcoin transactions were executed for as low as 32 cents. We can see from this chart from Cytex, where again, just the volume on this candle was just spectacular as well. So an XRP also rose to over $50 on the EXX exchange. So there are some very happy people today and some very sad people today, unfortunately. Even on Binance has been affected, with CZ tweeting out that it's causing 500 error messages on APIs and affecting some withdrawal processing, with a lot of exchanges halting withdrawals in totality. I don't know if they're going to reorg their order block. We have to understand that exchanges do have the authority to reorg, unlike the blockchain, because your purchases of Bitcoin or any other cryptocurrency on an exchange is not written in the blockchain, right? Only a transaction on the blockchain is written in the ledger and is immutable. So, pretty interesting stuff, man. Let's get into this. Actually, let me find... Oh, shoot. What was the link to this? Where's the link to the original article? Gotta find my tweeter. By the way, guys, cleaning up my Twitter quite a bit, inspired by Bitcoin.com. So I don't know who hacked my Twitter account and like made me follow like a bunch of altcoins and a bunch of exchanges. And again, I didn't mean to disparage anybody that, you know, I'm friends with there on Twitter. You know, I posted some stuff there this morning. I basically said, hey guys, I'm just cleaning up a little bit. You know what I mean? I only want to be following like good, valid people who post generally trading and investing related stuff, or entrepreneurial type stuff, or motivational stuff that actually really helps me out, and obviously friends and influencers. But yeah, just had to do a big cleanup, and you know, kind of trolled on some what I think, kind of trolled on some people that I think are not good influencers in the space. Hashtag Eric Cho. Hashtag Satoshi Sisters. Anyways, moving on. Let's go to, let me search for plus token. Here it is. We'll start off over here. Okay. So I wanted to follow up on the plus token scandal that I talked a little bit about the other day. This is, I don't think enough people are talking about this. I think this is big. This is a fundamental reason for a bearish bias. But you guys know how we kind of talk about fundamentals around here. There's really no reason to trade them. There's really no good edge in trading them, but it's always good to be aware of what's going on in the market. So following up on the plus token scandal. So new reports coming in today from the Elementus Analyst Lab. So $2 billion. That's how much the plus token Ponzi scheme, which, keep in mind, this is the biggest Ponzi scheme that's ever occurred. This is the biggest scandal, potentially. Maybe not the biggest scandal. I would say that Mt. Gox is still out there pretty high. But monetarily, this is the biggest Ponzi scheme scandal that's ever gone down. This is bigger than OneCoin. This is bigger than BitConnect. This is bigger than all of those, and monetarily, right? This, the amount of money that these people were able to pull into their platform, a platform that most of the English-speaking world was unaware of, is still fairly incomprehensible. But it happened. And it just goes to show how global Bitcoin is, how global this entire marketplace is, how far the Asian markets are really pushing this, the Asian participants are in the market. So through analysis of the Ethereum blockchain, analysts were able to determine that about 100 Ethereum addresses took in nearly 10 million Ethereum from about 800,000 participants. So of this amount, only about 820,000 Ethereum are still on those original addresses, with the grand majority, the remainder, about 9 million Ethereum, was sent out from the Plus token wallets to about 248,000 different addresses. But only a few thousand of those accounts, only a few thousand of those Ethereum addresses account for the majority of volume. And interestingly enough, the majority of volume outflow, the crypto outflow, really had a massive spike about a month prior to all of the founding members of the Plus token scandal getting arrested by Chinese authorities. Now, we don't know, we probably will never know, whether those large transfers represent legitimate winnings of users at the top of the Plus token pyramid scheme, or whether it was an exit scam disguised as legitimate withdrawals on behalf of founders or insiders of the Plus token scandal. And we do know that about 45% of all the paid out Ethereum made its way onto the ByBit Exchange, right? So yeah, here we go. Here's the outflow we can see right here in this chart. This is the inflow of Ethereum to the addresses, and you can see where volume really spikes up here towards the middle of July, block height about 7.4 million, and just completely dies off about June 27th. So sorry, my numbers are wrong there, but June 27th completely dies off. And that was the day that members of the Plus token founding team were arrested, right? Here's the original tweet from there on Twitter about all these individuals getting arrested. Of course, they were doxxed as well in this very same tweet. Of course, we had the Chinese Vitalik Buterin. Now, and this is the graph of the Ethereum withdrawal. So this is crypto outflow as opposed to that crypto inflow graph that I just showed you guys. And interestingly enough, we can notice the spike in withdrawals around block 7.7 million. So this is about June 27th. About a month, or excuse me, so this is about May 27th. So this is about a month before all the user funds were frozen and deposits stopped coming into these addresses, right? So we can see this huge spike in withdrawals that occur right around here. This is all occurring right around the middle of May, towards the end of May. And that would lead me to speculate that insiders were aware that the authorities were circling them and deciding to do everything in their power to cash out early before the entire structure tumbled down. Interestingly enough, we have a little bit of proof from this. This is coming from W1 over on Twitter. This is a police report that was filed in Yangcheng, China. A translation of this you guys can find on Twitter. But it seems that we have proof in this report. They're talking about the fact that the private keys were not seized, right? The private keys were not seized. So we knew this earlier, but this is just further proof coming from the actual police report. So whoever has the private keys to these addresses, or at least enough, especially the Bitcoin addresses, we talked about how they were P2SH. Those are pay to script hash. Those are very popular with multi-sig wallets. Of course, that's going to be SegWit compatible, not native SegWit. That's Betch32. So those addresses are still, I'm going to refresh my... button I can do to refresh. I don't know. Anyways, we already knew that a lot of the that withdrawals were still coming from the Bitcoin addresses. The Ethereum addresses are different. Those have died down. But again, I would say that the most interesting, and this doesn't really paint ByBit in a bad light whatsoever, but we do know that a lot of those funds are making their way onto ByBit. And again, we don't know, probably will never know, whether those were legitimate withdrawals from people at the top of the pyramid scheme, or again, I would speculate that it was an exit scam. Again, the whole thing was a scam, but a more pronounced exit scam from Plus token insiders. So we got about 820,000 Ethereum still sitting cold on the blockchain in the Plus token addresses. Odds are those funds will never be moved until the private keys are seized by authorities, or I don't know. I just don't see those funds going anywhere. But of course, anything could really happen. And if you guys want, these are, again, a lot of doxing going on here. But these are the addresses. Again, you can't, it's not really doxing if it's publicly available information. But these are the big winner addresses with the Ethereum sitting on there. Again, about 50% of all of the funds were sent to ByBit. Other popular ones were Gate.io, Upbit, OKX, and ZB.com, which are all pretty popular Asian exchanges. So that was about $2 billion in Ethereum alone. So really the price tag on this scheme is absolutely astronomical. It's just ridiculous how much these individuals were able to pull in funds. And again, just your typical, and I talked about this yesterday, if we go over to, I wonder if, is this how it works? Yeah, here we go. So here's my Twitter page, and I just retweeted this. Here we go. Yeah, I retweeted this about 2 hours ago, and this is I just retweeted Bitcoin.com, who I've decided to refollow. Yeah, it's just very simple, man. Is Satoshi Nakamoto right? Can they sign messages? Can they sign messages with a Genesis block key? No, not Satoshi. Yes, maybe Satoshi. Right? It's very simple. If this, then that logic. Right? So the same thing for is somebody Satoshi Nakamoto or not? Is something a scam or not? So I addressed this the other day in the video when I was talking about Discord scams. Nobody's going to get a hold of you and send you free Bitcoin. So that's a pretty good way to avoid scandals. If you just, if anybody attempts to send you scandals, if anybody attempts to offer you if anybody attempts to offer you free Bitcoin, you know that's not legitimate. You know that's not valid. So you can just like stay far away from that. You know, kind of the same thing with this though, man. These scandals happen all over the place, and people fall for them all the time. And it's always the same thing, man. You know, BitConnect, arbitraging.co, anything that tells you that you can just deposit your funds here and they're just going to like give you a lot of high interest rates based on something that they're doing. It's just not true. It's just not true. They're just trying to hoodwink you out of your unconfiscatable funds, which is Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin is something that you put on your ledger or you trade, right? And you want to put more on your ledger than you're trading, ideally. But it's just not going to happen, guys. You know, none of these websites are legitimate. None of them are real. The only high interest thing that is legitimate, in my opinion, is something like Wealthfront, right? So that's just a high cash interest savings account. It's going to beat the heck out of whatever bank situation that you have right now. That's where I keep my emergency funds. That's where I keep my savings that I'm putting aside to deploy either into stocks or cryptocurrency should price dip for my investments, not for trading. I don't trade that way. I invest that way. Crypto beginner saying, so I was wondering why the charts do not reflect those trades being made at $1. Well, none of them occurred on Binance. None of them occurred on the major exchanges that TradingView is going to track or collate. And it's also possible that the same AWS service is affecting the API connection between the exchanges and their order books and affecting the output to TradingView, because TradingView is pulling last price. So TradingView is pulling last price. And again, what made this possible in the first place is the order books glitching up entirely. So it would not surprise me. It would just not surprise. Well, first off, it wouldn't surprise me if it's not 100% true, because the most evidence that we have from this is screenshots that are circulating around Telegram, right, showing that these trades have been filled. That's all the evidence that we have of this actually occurring, of those prices being filled. I've seen some charts, but let's go see if we can't. Let's go see if we can't. Find them out, right? So we want to go to exchanges. Potentially sex.io. No. Let's go look at yeah, I don't really see where any of those exchanges that were listed, specifically EXX, BitMEX, and Cytex. Let's go see if we can't find them. Let's go see if their charts. Yeah, so here's the BitMEX website. On BitMEX, we can see this flash crash down to 8,500. On the BTC USDT chart. So potentially they've fixed this. Yeah, none of those trades occurred on BitMEX, Coinbase, or Bitstamp. I mean, literally, because those servers were not running on AWS Tokyo. So it was only Asian exchanges, so shitty exchanges. I don't really mean that like that they're shitty because they're Asian. I mean, they're shitty because they're small, right? They're shitty because they're small, right? So exchanges that don't have a lot of liquidity, and trying to go with this. Yeah, BitMEX, not BitMEX, yeah. And they run on the AWS Tokyo Amazon cloud server. So that specific AWS server had, as the Amazon service said, had issues with overheating of the chassis, and that caused order books that were running off of AWS, so exchanges that are running their website off of AWS cloud service, caused them to glitch up, right? That's what I know. And this is the BitMEX website right here. And, you know, the problem is I don't have collated data. We could get it, collated data of the order books to see if it's actually in the order book history. So what's the other one? Cytex. Yeah, here it is, cytex.io. Exchange. BTC USDT. Here we go. Here's the Cytex exchange right here, and it is on the charts. You can see where price goes from 10,092 and goes to a low of 32 cents. See that? I'll try to zoom in on that a little bit. All right. See if we can full screen this. Yeah, there we go. If I can't get a drawing tool. I think I give me a drawing tool. No drawing tools? No drawing tools. Yeah, but here it is right here on Cytex. Cytex.io. Price did reach a low of 32 cents. And volume on that candle was about 925. Let's see here. About 1,000 Bitcoin. About 1,000 Bitcoin. And you had a split second to have an order there. And then the other one was EXX. Hey, nothing makes you feel confident about trading on an exchange to go there and see this. The system is being maintained to upgrades. The system is down. The system is down. Yeah, that's great, man. So, you guys definitely want to feel like your funds are safe, man. You guys definitely want to feel like your funds are safe, man. Head over to exx.com, where if there's a problem, the system is being maintained upgrades. Yes. Wanted to see, I know one of the exchanges, they were talking about XRP rose up to $50. Let's see. Search. See what Mr. Zerp did here. Well, you can see here on BitMEX, XRP did go from 27 cents to 60. What was the high of this? 63, almost 64 cents. So almost tripled in value in one 5-minute chart. And then you can see the sell off right here, where it dropped from 27 to 21 cents. Not a lot of volume, only about 316,000 Ripple bought at that price. Let's go look at that Cytex. What was it? Cytex, right? Here it is. USDT. Did they not just did they not just have, oh, main, here we go. Yeah, here we go. XRP. They don't have XRP? No. They do not have XRP over here on Cytex. That must have been that EXX exchange. P, what does P mean? Premium? I don't know. Fusion mining. Bad to cheat. No, I don't think it was a hack, although it's possible that there was some form of inside information. I mean, you know, Amazon's, it seems very unlikely to me that Amazon is going to collude to down their own servers. There were other websites that were affected by this, but a lot of exchanges were running their order books off of AWS cloud service, which is, I couldn't really speak to the efficiency of that, but a lot of things run off AWS. And that just, bloop, 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 bloop. So who knows? Well, I'm sure we're going to get more information. I've been kind of searching around for this on Twitter, and I can't really find any really good information, nor can I find any good information on Reddit. So I'm just sharing you guys what I have. Sharing with y'all what I do have. Back to Bitcoin. And just watching the slow grind. About 1/3 of the United States internet is running on AWS. So let's just hope the chassis doesn't overheat. Let's just hope the chassis doesn't overheat on the American websites, or else your favorite website, krakencryptocurrency.com, could go down. That would be a damn shame. Eisenberg says, thanks for the stream, man. About 1 hour is good. Great detailed explanation on the order blocks. Please keep it up. Thank you, man. I highly appreciate that. Professor Then, thanks so much for joining us over. Professor Sen, thanks so much for joining us over there on YouTube. I think Heisenberg, that's a tongue-in-cheek way to say, hey, man, all right, that's enough. Get off the air. So I'll listen to you, man. It's been about an hour and a half. We've gone over a lot. We talked about Bitcoin's price. We talked about Ethereum's price. We talked about people getting rich at 32 cents a Bitcoin. We talked about plus token scandals. We talked about a lot of other stuff as well, including the order block. So make sure to reference back to that in the beginning if you want. For clarification, Kraken Crypto's website does not run on AWS. Thank you guys so much. Thank you guys for educating me. All right, guys, I'm gonna go make some videos on trading. I'm gonna go make some videos on the new trading journal. If you guys have any questions, don't worry, your AWS coins are Safu. Netflix, well, I don't watch Netflix, so it's all good. Thank you guys so much for joining me for another exciting episode of Breaking Bitcoin. I've been your host, Justin Wise, lead analyst and senior mentor at KrakenCryptocurrency.com. Thank you guys so much for the support. If you guys are new to trading or an experienced trader looking to sharpen your skills, make sure to check out premium.KrakenCryptocurrency.com to see everything that the premium group can offer for you. If you guys would like to trade along with us, have access to our tools, and learn our rules. If you guys love amazing crypto podcasts, make sure to check out breakingbitcoin.money and check us out at your leisure. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell people you don't even like. It's good information that we need to get in front of people's ears. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, sarcastic remarks, and or death threats, please leave them in the comment section down below and make sure to hit the thumbs up button on your way out, guys. I'm Justin. I'll see you guys tomorrow and trade safely as always.